Brett Bamert with Bamert Seed Company.
And I'm Nick Bamert, Bamert Seed Company.
And today we're here to ask Nick a couple of questions. So first question I've got is, can you share a little bit about the history and culture of Bamert Seed Company?
Sure. Well, my parents moved out here from Las Cruces, New Mexico, 1947, and thought he wanted to be in the cattle business. And then the cattle market broke, and he decided he just wanted to focus more on farming. And in 1951, he began growing his own grass seed under contract for other seed companies. And he continued doing that for several years, and just growing one species or two species at a time. But by the late 60s, he had decided that the market had gone up and down, and he thought he'd try his hand at cleaning his own seed and market them himself. And so that's what he did. And it kind of just continually grew from there. By the early 80s, we were growing about 5, 6, 7 different species. And you know what a lot of people don't really know is we also grew hybrid pearl millet at that time. And the native seed business was such a small niche and all over the country that the market just wasn't there really to sustain a organization or a company. And so we grew hybrid pearl millet, but there by the end of the 70s, early 80s, I decided that we needed to really focus on the native business, and I just liked it because of the conservation efforts. You could see kind of the results of what we were getting done. And so we continued along that path, just growing different species. We just always enjoyed teaching the landowners kind of what we had learned in the production side of growing seed all these years. And that was what they were needing. You know, they didn't call it ecosystem science at that time, but that's exactly what we were doing. Teaching them about how to plant it, how to control weeds, benefits, of course, are erosion control and wildlife habitat and those type things. And so we just really enjoyed doing that, where we were able to feel like we were making a difference.
Yeah. Can you speak a little bit to maybe some of the memories you had as growing up in the business and what you remember most about Bamert Seed Company in the early years?
Oh, I remember in the back of the combines when there a lot of times we were shoveling seed out. It wasn't
Yeah.
a lot of fun. But the highlights, I guess, we were just like you. We grew up, y'all grew up in the business just like I did. And we did everything from driving the tractor to combine to sacking seed. We just always enjoyed watching things grow. I mean, you put the seed in the ground and there wasn't any books, there wasn't any teachers, there wasn't anybody to teach you, you know. So a lot of times we planted things that we didn't even know what they were going to look like when we planted it. But we figured out how to make it work. And to me, that was one of the highlights of growing up, and just kind of sparked my curiosity and figuring out how to process the seed and harvest the seed at the right time. And those are the things that I really always cherished. And getting to do them also in our family, you know, with my dad, and watching you and your brother Austin doing the same type thing. It's just a family organization. I love it.
Kind of entrepreneurial and problem solving every day.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of challenges that we've kind of think we've solved over the last 70 years.
Exactly.
So there's a story about tearing the tags while you're listening to the radio or watching the black and white TV.
Yeah, we did have TV.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, that's exactly right. So that really goes back to the pearl millet business.
Yeah.
We sold a lot of pearl millet, or so what we thought was a lot. But before that truck showed up the next day, those tags were all in a row, and we'd have to tear each one of them off so that we could sew them on the bags. It wouldn't take so long to put them on each bag. And so that's what we would do at night. A lot of times watching TV, and Dad would come down there and throw a box or two of tags there on the floor and say, "Hey, you kids, separate these tags for us, and we'll be ready to go in the morning."
Yeah.
That sounds good to us.
What do you think Carl's most admirable attribute was?
Oh, number one, he was an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Who else would go, I know the market's not real big there, but, it's not like cotton or sorghum or anything like that. But let's just see if we can grow this. And then not only can we figure out how to plant it and get it up, but control the weeds and grow it. And I know they don't make harvesters to really harvest it, but I think we can adapt this combine to where we can harvest the seed and then clean the seed with equipment that wasn't designed to do that. And so all of those things had to be kind of re-engineered to handle the products that we were handling at that time, as well as today. But those, that's just one of the things, and he was good at that. He went to school to be an engineer, and he didn't graduate. World War II got in the way, but he just enjoyed that. He just enjoyed trying to figure things out and problem solve, and I think all of us have different degrees of that and different things that they enjoy. And anyway, I just think that was one of his biggest attributes, is trying to just being curious and figuring out if he can make it work.
So he really laid a lot of the foundation on the production aspect and getting stuff harvested. And then
certainly
came back in 1981. Can you talk about that transition a little bit and where you really saw the market going and how we made that change to be where we are today?
Absolutely. Yeah. There again, I think we all stand on each other's shoulders, but he had a great foundation there, and he kind of had the production. We had the farm production going pretty good, working, understanding how to bring new seed to production. And when I came home, there was something I always thought. Walmart was really popular back, especially getting rolling good in the 70s and early 80s. And what I saw them doing is they would take the product, from the manufacturer kind of straight to the end user. And I thought, that's what I want to do. And so that's one thing that we always tried to do. Prior to that, native seed was such a specialty product, it would go through a half a dozen different distributors and merchandisers before it got to the end user. And the price might be 3 or 4 times or 5 from what we were selling it to. And so we did our very best to provide the seed directly to the landowner. And it also helped the landowner a lot in the sense that not only made it more economical where he could afford to do that, it also, he had questions. How do we plant it? What happens when the weeds come up or whatever? And all those merchandisers and the distributors in between, they didn't have those answers. And so they would end up calling us and then going back through the system. And finally, they just got to say, y'all just talk directly to the people that are using it. And so it just made a lot of sense to us. We just need to be selling it to the people to solve their problems, and to help them be more successful. And when we started doing that, it started to really make a difference.
And how many products were we producing in 1981, you think?
Yeah, I think probably 8 or 10.
Yeah. And that changed pretty rapidly, too, I would think, through the 80s and 90s.
It did, yes. And that was another thing. We could see where diversity was such a key part of what's going on, of trying to get that native, to make it look as much like native remnant as possible. And That sounds a whole lot easier than it is, to just grow more species. But each one of them, as you well know, has their own particular needs, and whether that's water, fertility, how fast they mature, and there's every aspect to that. But we just continually kept looking and searching for more species to add to the collection for those landowners. And there again, that was part of the things that we always enjoyed doing.
It's amazing. The same things you were talking about and thinking about in 1981 are the same things we're thinking about and talking about in 2023. So,
well, they didn't call it that back then.
So we multiplied it a couple of times, and we're about to do it again. And so that's the nature of the business.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, and I think we've talked a lot about this, but your perspective on where we've come from and where we're going. We've talked a lot about where we've come from. Where do you see the future of the native seed industry and how Bamert Seed fits into that going forward?
Yeah. Well, it's just exciting for me because I don't see anything but growth in that. I think with limited resources that we see every day, the native grasses and native forbs and legumes and things that God put here, that's what we're going to go back to over time. And I just think that the seed company is in a very unique position to be able to help in that endeavor. I just think that the people that have gathered here are really making a huge difference. They're very knowledgeable, and they're passionate about what they do. And we didn't teach that. I mean they come with that talent, and they just love to help people and pass on the experience they've had. Everybody here has been involved in this business either through NRCS, Parks and Wildlife, Natural Resource Districts, somebody for 20 years or better, and so they have the experience and expertise, and they're just so passionate about it. They want to be able to kind of really help people do that, on a hand-to-hand basis, just back and forth. And that's something that I think our company is able to do, is reach out to those people and help them be successful.
It's not really about selling seed at the end of the day. It's about making contact with that landowner, that project manager, figuring out what their needs are, what are their challenges, and then helping them develop a plan on how to be successful, not only in the short term for establishment, but also the long-term success of that project and having a property that they can be proud of that meets the goals that they set forth early in that process by selecting the right seed. So,
absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. It's just, to me, that's the fun part, is seeing their success. We just got to figure out, and that's one of the mantras I know Rob and y'all say, well, what are your goals? What do you want to do when we're talking to a landowner? And that's what we're trying to do, is help them be successful.
Yeah.
What could be more fun than that? I mean, I just love that. And, helping the system, control erosion and conservation and making a difference.
What are some of the biggest changes you've seen over the years that's helped lead us to where we are today?
I guess number one on my list are the people. I keep coming back to that, but the people that are involved here today they enjoy what they're doing, and they love helping people, or they wouldn't be here. And it's just fun to work with those people. It's fine. Talk about the weather or talk about this or that, but these guys get in a room and they enjoy talking about plant species and diversity and ecosystem science and all, and it's just fun to be a part of that. It's just cool. And I think that's a neat thing that has changed over the years. I think in the beginning, of course, we were just trying to figure out how to produce seed. But now we're way past that point, to the point of being able to really produce seed at a high level of a lot of different species, and help the people be sure those species get planted back on the landscape. And I can't help but think also the technology, tractors and combines and all the different harvesting equipment that we have, as well as GPS. Wow, that's interesting. Computer systems and all of that, I think, is something that has really helped us grow and do a better job than we used to just be able to do, no doubt.
Yeah. What do you most enjoy about what you do at Bamert Seed every day?
I get to work on just special projects that I enjoy working on that I had never really had time to do before. And whether that's go to meetings that I hadn't really been able to focus on before because I was busy with the day-to-day operation. But now I get to go to meetings and visit with people specifically about these kind of issues. When we first started, we'd have a meeting somewhere, and there wasn't any need in having a national meeting because there wasn't but 10 or 12 people would be there. But now you go to these meetings, and not only are your state governments talking about it, your national government's talking about conservation, but there's 500 people in a room. Boy, that's one thing that's changed a whole lot, is just people interest in the environment and taking care of our natural resources.
I think one question that we want to make sure to ask everybody is what is the most common question you get asked when people find out you're in the native seed industry?
First off, I've never thought about it. I never thought about where seed came from. Yep. And you just think, wow. But I'm sure there's a lot of those things in their business I wouldn't think of either. But, you tell them just a little bit about what you do. You produce native grasses, wildflowers, and they all kind of step back and go, now that's cool. You go, well, I agree. It is cool. It's fun to tell them. And then they get to asking a few more questions. And, I think there again, it just touches everybody. When you talk about native grasses and wildflowers, it's just something they enjoy and they appreciate. One thing I think that makes Bamert Seed Company unique might be, it's a family farm. It's a family organization. And we stress, we've all raised our families here and are continuing to do that. And I just think that it's something we think, we certainly have a strong passion for. We want to encourage everybody to take time for their family. We're proud that we're able to do that.
Anything else you want people to know about Bamert Seed Company?
I'm very, very proud of the fact that, we have become the leader, if not a leader, in the native seed business or industry. It's just such an important part of what's going on in America today, with environment being one of the paramount issues in the world, and how we're able to maybe contribute whatever small part that is. We feel like we're certainly making a difference every day, and it's not just the people in this room; it's all the guys outside. It's where we're able to produce seed in different parts of the country, or go down and do a prairie remnant harvest of native seed off the coast. You know, we bring those seed back here and provide those different species or genetics to be sure that those seed are adapted for the local ecotype areas that they're going back into. And I'm just proud and happy to work with my family and good people that are here.